and welcome. My name is Kipa Chitan, Shouting Hawk. I'm here to give you the how-tos on harvesting, bundling, and burning sage with reverence and the right way to do it. I don't feel that there's any wrong ways, but there's definitely ways to do it that give honor and respect to the land and to the medicine. So I'm going to start off actually with a little song. This is something that I do when I go up and pick sage. I'm not saying that you need to play flute when you go up there, but this is just something that I do in honor of the plant and to the ancestors and the directions and Mother Earth and the sage. So here you go. This is just one thing that I do just to give thanks and let Creator know that I'm coming with my best intentions and that what I'm about to do is not an ill will. That being said, when you go to pick sage, before even picking it, it's always a good idea to either inwardly or outwardly express what your intentions are. As a healer and as one who works with sage a lot, I always let it be known that this is to be used to help another, that is going to draw energies out and clear a space or clear a person of negative energies. That is what it's used for, is to draw out, whereas Palo Santo is to bring in. So I'm stating that I'm here with the intentions to help and to serve. So for you to do that when you are picking the sage, even before picking the sage. Another thing to do beforehand is I give honor to all four directions: north, south, east, and west, to the ancestors, to Mother Earth, and to the plant itself. This shows that you come with respect. Respect is a big thing in American cultures, for sure. The other thing is to bring an offering of some sort. Tobacco is always a good idea to bring. It's very traditional to use that as an offering. You can also use gemstones, hair, a penny, something that is giving to that plant. The penny is because it's made out of copper. It's a conductor. It draws energy. It calls in energy. The hair because it's a part of you. Tobacco because it is another plant, and it's a way. It's always been used as a peace offering. There are many other ways that you can do offerings to the plant. The best thing is to go with your intuition. Yes, there are traditional ways of doing things, and those all started from some sort of intuition or letting spirit speak to you. And a lot of this, I'm very connected with spirit when I'm before picking the plant, even before I leave the house to go pick the plant. I'm very connected to spirit and listening to know what Spirit is going to tell me to do and not to do. When you get to an area where there's sage growing, you'll find, for the most part, in the middle of the grove, the patch, I call it my patch. There usually be one plant in the middle that probably looks like the oldest, fullest plant, which everything else stems off of. This is usually called the grandfather plant. And so this is the one to give the reverence to. This is what you give the offering to. This is what you give the blessings to, because it's been there the longest. You may not know right away which one that is. Listen to Spirit and let them guide you to which one it is. A lot of times this plant is left alone, and other times, like, I find it okay to take one or two from this plant because it helps to harvest it. It needs to be taken, trimmed, and how do you call that? Pruned as well. So it's okay to take from this plant. It's not okay to take too much from this plant because it is the oldest. So that's what the other plants are for. It's always giving, and the rest are too. But that being said, there's also a long stem that usually grows out from the middle of the plants, and it looks like just a stick with a bunch of little dried up blossoms on it. I like to take this and strip it. I put my hand around it and pull it up and take those blossoms and sprinkle it around whichever plant I pulled it from. This is good to do not only for the grandfather plant, but for the other plants as well, because you're giving for that next generation. In Native American, they're always looking forward to take care of the next 7 generations. So by doing this, you're ensuring the growth of that plant for the next generation. So next would be the actual picking of the plant, the collecting of the leaves. And I'll just show you this one's, I'll show you the one I did. So this is what a finished product looks like. It's nice and tight. I'll undo this one so you can see. I have been using this one. So this is what a work in progress looks like. This is what the working actual bundle looks like. I'm undoing it so that I can show you how to do it in just a moment. Oh, that one decided it doesn't want to be with us anymore. Here it is. Okay. So as I'm unwrapping it, you'll see that this is tightly bound. I mean, I could break that in half if I wanted to, because it's so brittle. That's where you want it to be at finished product. Now I'm gonna do it all the way down to the bottom. I'm not gonna undo that one. I'm actually gonna take the rest of it and wrap it around so that it keeps the base together. And the base consists of about 4 or 5 of the stems. And you'll see that I leave plenty of room. I leave about 1 or 2 inches from where the plant starts and the branch. And the branches are usually about this long. They're quite long, but you don't want to break the whole branch off so that more can grow later. So I break it off about 2 inches down, and let's say this is the live plant. I take it and I kind of either snap it. Sometimes you'll have to kind of twist it. If you're cutting, you want to do a diagonal cut so that it can grow from there. Think about like if an animal were to come along and chomp on it, it's not going to eat the whole stem. It's only going to, I don't think they're edible, but if they were to use it, it's medicinal, so they may come and use it for some sort of medicine. Is to leave enough room to where you can hold on to it, for one thing. That's why I do it. And just so that you can gather it together so it's nice and tight as well. So when you're collecting it, that's how to break it off. Before you even do that, is just kind of look at the plant and decide which are the newer growths on the plant and which are the older ones. You want to take the older ones so that the maturity it's at its last point, that one's the ones that you want to take. There's going to be some that are very fresh looking as well. Those are okay. Just making sure that you're not taking the newer ones, the more baby or smaller ones, because they haven't fully developed. You want to ensure that the plant is going to prosper. So you don't want to take the new growth, else it's never going to grow. So you want to take the older ones. And when you're collecting, as far as knowing how much to collect, another thing to go with your intuition and just really listen to spirit. There'll be times where you get like, I think it's time for me to leave. And there's others where out of respect, you're like, I might be taking too much. And you might hear spirit say, no, you need some more. You got work to do. Get some more. Fill up your bag. But you never want to totally take all the stems from one plant. I like to go to several ones and take a few from each one. You never want to leave one plant barren, because that's not going to let growth happen for the next generations. I usually do, I don't know if you all are familiar with Tienda Ho, but I have a few bags from that shop that I usually fill about almost to the top. Orion's been with me, so she knows how much I usually pick. Once it settles, the weight of its own self will start pushing it and squishing it together, and it'll end up to be about half a bag. And by the time I'm done, it's, like I said, it's pretty full. And when I go to wrap, I will usually get about 20 to 30 bundles about this size. You'll usually see ones that are a lot thicker. This is one that a friend of mine did. I tend to go on the smaller size just because when I am doing healings, this is like the perfect amount to do a house blessing. I'm usually using the whole thing. I go pretty full bore, but this would probably last you a few days. The thicker ones, of course, are going to last you longer, but they're also going to take a lot of leaves to make it that thick. This is just easier to handle for me, and it may not look as aesthetically pleasing as some of the other ones, but it does its job. So once you've had the amount that you need, next thing is to bundle it. Now this is dry, so it's not going to be exactly like how you would do it when you have the wet version. Now see, this is not going to fall apart because it's so tightly bound together. But you want to do the bundling when it is still in its raw form, because it's pliable. If you look at this, you'll see a little twist to it. You'll see that it's all going kind of the same direction. All the leaves are kind of winding around themselves. There's a technique that I use to do this. Like I said, in its rawest form, it's just going to be a big clump. And it's going to smell like menthol. It smells so good. I love the smell of sage, especially right off the plant. And your car's going to smell wonderful. So I take, like this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stems. And what I do is I get those stems, I'll put them all together, kind of break off. Like this one's a little bit longer, so I would normally break off till they're all even. But when it's raw, you're going to have to do some twisting. If you need to use scissors, you can use scissors, but your hands should do the job. I mean, these are great tools for so many things. So I'm going to take the 5. It's going to be raw. You want to do this as soon as you can. You don't want to usually let it sit for more than about 3 days, because it will start drying, and it's harder to wrap when it's dry. Way harder to wrap. So you want to take those 5 stems, 4 stems, however many you feel fit, hold them at that point. And what I do is I kind of give it a little, bunch it together with my hands, but then as I'm wrapping, now the great thing about these is you don't really have to tie anything, because once you have all these stems together, you just kind of slip it in between 2 of them and then give it a couple little twists around. And that's plenty to hold it together. So when I'm actually went the opposite way that I usually go. I'm going to do it this way because this is my natural way to do it. I usually go forward. So as you're kind of making it go the direction you want it to go, you're just going to wrap the sage. And speaking of that, the twine that you use, this is just a regular kind of like ropey twine. I usually use embroidery thread. If you're going to use embroidery thread and they have certain colors to it, be mindful of the colors that you're using. And as you're wrapping, whatever color, whatever kind of twine that you're using, is set an intention as you're wrapping it. Like put that love into it, put that intention into it, put that healing into it that you are going to be using it for. And just have that in mind as you're wrapping it. And just going kind of around it, as you can see. And you'll have little ones poke out. Just kind of tuck them in. And you'll know, like, if one's a little loose, just go right on top of that. And it'll hold it down. And then once you get to the top, if you have an extra, just bring it back down, back to the base. I'm just going to do this so you can see. Is you're going to bring it back to the base. And then tuck it back in again, right between the two. And then you have your bundle. So you're going to want to put these out in the sun for a few days. It could take 3 days, it could take 10. It just depends on the dampness of the plant itself and the weather. If it does get a little too dewy or it starts to rain, you want to bring them inside before that happens. When you stick them out, I like to stagger them. So I'll have one facing up, one facing down. I like to put them on newspaper because it absorbs some of the dampness in the plant itself, and then if the environment is damp, it'll be like a little sponge. Once you've done that, you let it dry out. You might want to flip it every once in a while just so it gets a little even tan. Once they've dried out, you can go over and if it's still squishy, you want to leave it out there for a little bit longer. Once it's nice and dry, you can store them wherever you're going to store them. I like to keep them in a bag that I have that I use when I go and do my cleansings. After that is the burning section of it. So when you're lighting it, now I have it exposed a little bit. I don't have any rope right there, but I like to bring it down all the way so that there's no string, because I have had incidences where the string likes to be like a little fuse and you don't want it to burn your whole plant. So I like to just wrap it upon itself so that it's out of the way, and that's still going to hold together. It's not going to fall apart. That's secure. Nothing's going to happen to that. A lot of times I'll break it open just a little bit to get some air in there, because when they're this tight, if you want it to burn slow, keep it tight. If you want the air, you want to get a little bit more smoke, got to open it up a little bit. When I'm doing a blessing, anytime you're burning sage, it's always a good idea to bless yourself, to sage yourself first, smudge yourself. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to light it, and as I'm lighting it, I like to use abalone shell as well to keep them in, to burn them in. And it's almost as if they were meant for each other, because the holes of the abalone, that's why I don't like to do more than a few sticks, because I can put them right in the hole and it's nice and secure. So this is what I do. I'll go ahead and light it. And you want to let it get right in the middle there. Let me see. I like to go right on top and get that flame going, move it around a little bit. And once it gets a nice little glow, you'll see the embers right in there. Just as if you were in a doing a campfire. You really want to get it going. The more smoke, the better. because that's going to rid of the negative energies. I like to give it over my shoulders to begin with, over my head, again with intention, saying what your intentions are, giving a little blessing. Into the heart, and then just going around your whole body, palms of your hands, arms. Do that for a minute. Palms of the hands and the soles of your feet are really important because these are, if you've ever done like acupuncture, acupressure, these are connected to every part of your body. I like to dab it in the chakra areas around your body, and then like I said before, lift a foot, get the bottom of your foot, lift the other foot. I always tease people, I was like, all right, I'm gonna sage you now, lift both feet. See how they react. So once that's done, I like to offer it to the corners, starting with the east. Whatever blessing you come up with, I will say mine. I do it in Lakota. Yatahe wakan tanka kipachitan yaela pajuta wanyan maka wanyan sikaya wanyan pila maya sikaya wopila tanka. Yatahe luta pita wamle wakan. Then you go to the west, south, sorry. East, south, west, north. Gimini, shimana tatanka wakan. I like to blow each time so that you're giving reverence to each corner. Sapamaka, matoakan. Skatate, tatankoakan. And then you're ready to smudge whatever it is that you want to smudge. If you're doing a house blessing, I suggest doing the corners. I always start in the east. So starting with the east corner, going around the house, each corner, blowing smoke into those corners. Anytime there's a window, I frame the window, make an X with it, because this is where energies come in and out. Anything that has a reflection as well, computers, appliances, any openings, doorways, archways. I'm always making an X, framing first and then making an X. Other than that, that's about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let Orion know. And if you'd like to contact me, again, my name is Kipa Chitan. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram, same name. And you can get that information from Orion. Thank you so much for letting me pass this information on to you. I hope it serves you well. Ciao for now.